What's up, Novi? This is all about F1. Today, I'll be giving you guys a race recap of the Australian Grand Prix. Afterwards, I'll be looking at my predictions to see what I got right. Let's get started. First up is qualifying, and it kicked off with plenty of tension. The biggest shock of Q1 came early when Max Verstappen locked the rear axle under braking at turn 1, slid through the gravel, and hit the barrier. The red flag that followed ended his session before it really began, leaving the four-time world champion at the back of the grid. The red flag, however, gave Mercedes just enough time to finish repairing Kimi Antonelli's car after his FP3 crash. In the front, George Russell established himself as a driver to beat, becoming the first to dip into the 119s and comfortably leading the times. Hamilton briefly took P1 on medium tires, but Russell reclaimed it, with Piastri and Norris also looking competitive. A tough weekend for Aston Martin continued as Fernando Alonso narrowly missed the cut, while both Cadillac drivers were knocked out in their debut qualifying session. Q2 continued the tension with everyone rushing out early to avoid surprises. Russell once again set a tone with a 118.9, a lap that no one else could get close to. Ferrari had a messy start as Hamilton backed out of his lap to let Leclerc through, forcing both drivers to regroup for second attempts. Leclerc eventually climbed up to P2, pushing Antonelli down to third. The standout performances came from Racing Bull drivers Arvid Lindblad and Liam Lawson, who both delivered strong laps to reach Q3. Hulkenberg, Berman, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, and Colapinto were knocked out from Q2. Q3 was chaotic from the moment it began. Lindblad blocked up entering the pit lane and nearly collected several cars, while Bortoletto's car suffered a technical issue before he could set a lap. Moments later, Antonelli accidentally left the pits with cooling fans still in his sidepods, which fell on the track and were run over by Lando Norris, triggering another red flag. Once the session finally settled down, Russell put down the first proper benchmark while Antonelli made an early mistake at turn 3. Norris briefly slotted into second, but remained over half a second off Mercedes. On the final runs, Antonelli delivered a brilliant lap to take provisional pole with a 118.811. But Russell immediately responded with a lap nearly 3/10 quicker, securing pole position and a Mercedes front row lockout. Red Bull driver Isaac Hadjar produced a stunning performance to take P3 ahead of Leclerc, Piastri, and Norris. Hamilton ended up 7th with Lawson, Lindblad, and Bortoletto completing the top 10. Next up is the race, and before it even began, Piastri crashed out in the outlap to the grid, ruling him out of his home race. Most drivers began on medium tires, though a few chose the hards, and Alonso and Sainz started on softs. Before the start, Nico Hulkenberg's car was pushed into the garage due to a technical issue, and he couldn't take part in the race. When the lights went out, Charles Leclerc made a brilliant launch from 4th to take the lead into turn 1. Hamilton jumped from 7th to 3rd, while Antonelli dropped to 7th. Alonso also made early progress, climbing into the top 10. The opening laps featured a tight fight between Leclerc and Russell, with the two swapping position several times. Russell locked up heavily at turn 1 on lap 9, but stayed in the fight, while Antonelli recovered to 4th. Behind them, Verstappen was already climbing through the field from P20. Hadjar's strong run ended early when his Red Bull suffered a failure at lap 11, triggering a virtual safety car. Mercedes pitted both cars while Ferrari stayed out, giving Leclerc the lead once racing resumed. A second virtual safety car followed when Bottas stopped his Cadillac, and again Ferrari remained on track. As the race settled, Russell and Antonelli began stretching their stints, hinting at a possible one-stop strategy. Leclerc pitted on lap 26 and rejoined in 4th, while Hamilton briefly led before making his own stop. At halfway, Russell led Antonelli with Leclerc and Hamilton behind them. Mercedes considered running to the end without stopping again, while Norris and Verstappen battled over 5th. Another short virtual safety car on lap 34 allowed Norris to pit for mediums, and both Aston Martins eventually retired again after earlier issues. Verstappen made a second stop for hards, while Lindblad continued to impress in his debut race with strong battles in the midfield. With around 10 laps to go, Mercedes committed to the one stop, holding a comfortable gap over Ferrari. Hamilton closed in on Leclerc late, and Norris continued to defend against Verstappen. In the end, Russell held on to the win by just under 3 seconds, giving Mercedes a 1-2. Leclerc completed the podium with Hamilton close behind in 4th. Norris kept Verstappen behind to take 5th, while the Dutchman finished 6th. Behrman, Lindblad, Bortoleto, Gasly rounded out the points. 6 cars failed to classify, including both Aston Martins, Bottas, Hadjar, Piastri, and Hulkenberg. Next up, let's check my predictions. So I got 5 points for predicting that Russell will be on the podium. I got 10 points for predicting that there will be 6 teams that get into Q3. I got 15 points for predicting that Audi will be scoring the highest race finishing positions over the Alpines. So that's all I have, Novi. Tune in for next time for my predictions for the Chinese Grand Prix. Have a nice day, Novi.